Welcome to this presentation on APA citations. I'm Patricia Morris, Coordinator of Library Research at the Florida Gateway College Library. In this session, we will cover how to do in-text citations and the end-of-paper list of references using APA format. First, let's define what APA is. APA stands for the American Psychological Association, which is a scientific and professional organization for psychologists. Among many other things, they put out the publication manual of the American Psychological Association. The APA format style is primarily used for the natural, social, and behavioral sciences, including health and technology-related fields, but can be assigned by an instructor of any subject area. So why do we even need to use in-text citations? When you write a paper, you'll have a combination of ideas and concepts, some that are original to you and some ideas and concepts that come from other sources, the research that you've done in preparing to write your paper. For any idea that is not original to you, you must provide a citation that will answer the question, how do you know this? We use in-text citations to show you did the research, to give credit for the work of others, to provide information so someone can look up the original source, and to avoid plagiarism. In the FGC Student Handbook, plagiarism is defined as the unauthorized use of the words or ideas of another and the representation of them as one's own. Today's presentation will help you understand how to use citations to properly give credit for the work of others. For example, let's say we're doing a paper on Michael Jackson, and we've used information from this book, Man in the Music, The Creative Life and Work of Michael Jackson by Joseph Vogel. In-text citations are used within the body of your paper to give credit right after you use the words of another work. This could be a direct quote, or a paraphrase or summary of the author's work. In our paper, we could include a quote from the book. A quote or quotation is identical to the original resource. It must match the source document word for word and must be attributed to the original author. We put quotation marks around the quote to show it is word for word from the original source. The quote is, "Thriller was more than just an album. It was a mass cultural multimedia phenomenon that hasn't been matched in scope before or since." These are the author's words taken directly from the book. To show that this is taken from the book, we put the quote in quotation marks and include the in-text citation at the end in the format, parentheses, author's last name, comma, year of publication, comma, P, period, space, and the number of the page where the quote is taken from, close parentheses, period. If you are citing a resource as a whole, the entire work, you do not need to include a page number. The APA manual says that page numbers are not required but are encouraged, so it is a good practice to include them when you are citing specific information. If you have more than one page number, use PP period and the page numbers. Another type of citation is the paraphrase. You paraphrase by putting the author's ideas in your own words. Because the idea is not original to you, you have to give the credit in a citation. If we paraphrase the same quote from the previous example, we could write, "The album Thriller was such a great achievement that its success hasn't been matched by any other albums." The citation for paraphrasing has the same format as a quote, parentheses, Vogel, comma, 2011, comma, P, period, space, 55, close parentheses, period. The third type of citation is the summary. Summarizing involves putting the main idea into your own words, including only the main point. It is short and to the point. We can summarize the original quote by saying, "Thriller was considered the most successful album of all time." The citation format is the same as quotes and paraphrases. With APA, you do have flexibility on how your sentence and citation are constructed. Here are 4 versions using the same quote with varying sentence construction, and they are all correct in APA format. If you use the author's name as part of your sentence, as in versions 1, 2, and 3, it is called a signal phrase. Note that the author, year, and page number can be placed in different locations and do not need to appear only at the end of the sentence. There are many variations on how to do the in-text citations. If your cited work has two authors, cite both last names using "and" when you use them in a sentence, and an ampersand when using the last names in the in-text citation. If your resources include two different authors who have the same last name, include the initials of the first names for your in-text citations to distinguish them. If the same author has more than one work, the year of publication will identify which specific source you are referencing. If the works are in the same year, use lowercase letters A, B, C with the year in the in-text citation. If there is no author given for a resource, cite it by its title in the parentheses. Shorten long titles to the first few words. Note that titles of books and reports are italicized. Titles of articles are in quotation marks with a comma inside the quotes. Remember that you can also use the title of the source as part of your sentence construction in a signal phrase. Let's pause here for a moment. As we've seen, there are many variations for writing in-text citations in the body of your paper, and there are many more. The APA Manual and APA Style blog have many examples on crediting sources and include illustrations and charts like this one that are helpful in determining what format to follow. We'll come back to these and other helpful resources a little later. Also, please note that your instructor's requirements may vary from this guide. Always follow your instructor's directions if they differ from the APA formats given here. Let's move now from in-text citations to entries on the reference list. What's the difference? An in-text citation differs from the end-of-paper reference list in that the in-text citation is noted in the body of your paper and identifies the source of the information right after you use the words or ideas of another. Readers can then refer to the reference list for the complete and full citation of the cited resource. You may have heard the end-of-paper list of resources called a bibliography or works cited list. In APA format, it is titled References. Your reference page lists all the resources you use alphabetically by the author's last name. Let's look at the basic format for a book in the reference list. The other types of materials, such as ebooks and articles, will follow this same basic format with some modifications. The format for a book is last name, comma, first initial period, the year of publication in parentheses, period, title of work, colon, subtitle, period, city of publication, colon, publisher, period. And here is an example. Note that you use only the initial of the author's first name. The title and subtitle of the book are italicized, and you capitalize only the first letter of the first word in the title and the subtitle. You also capitalize proper nouns, such as the name Jane Austen. Capitalizing only the first word is called sentence capitalization style, and you indent the second and subsequent lines. Here are some other variations you may encounter with book references. If you have two authors, you list them like this, with an ampersand between the names. The second author's name is given in our resource here as Robert E. Long, so we can list both his initials with a space between them. Also note the sentence capitalization of the title, James Ivory in Conversation, How Merchant Ivory Makes Its Movies. The name James Ivory is a proper noun and is capitalized, but so is Merchant Ivory, which is the name of their film company, so it is also capitalized. If no author is given for your resource, start the entry in the reference list with the name of the book. When you alphabetize your list, alphabetize by the first major word, not by the, a, or an if it is the first word in the title. In this example, this work would be alphabetized by the E in economist. Once again, note the sentence capitalization and that economist is also capitalized because it is the proper name of a publication. Let's move on to ebooks. Here's the format and our example. Note that you follow the same basic format as a print book, but omit the city and publisher information, and instead add retrieved from and the URL. If you have a long URL like this one, you can split the line before a slash, dot, hyphen, or other punctuation. And there's no period at the end of the entry, so it doesn't appear to be part of the URL. You can also use a DOI, a digital object identifier, instead of a URL, and we'll talk more about DOIs in a moment. Most likely, a lot of your research will be done using articles from periodical databases. Periodicals include regularly published resources such as journals, magazines, and newspapers. Here's the format for citing an article from a journal in an online database using APA style. And here is an example. Now, the DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier and is a unique alphanumeric string assigned by the publisher and would be found on the database's information page for your article. There may be a lot of other numbers given on this page. Include only the DOI. If your resource does have a DOI, APA format prefers you use it instead of the URL. Use sentence capitalization in the article title. Capitalize first letter of all major words in the journal title and italicize the journal title. The volume number is also italicized. If each issue of the journal or magazine starts with new pagination on page 1, include the issue number in parentheses after the volume number. The issue number is not italicized. If the journal has continuous pagination where each new issue's page numbers continue where the previous issue ended, you do not include the issue number. For dates, in journals, put only the year in parentheses. For magazines, give the year, comma, and then the month or month and day, depending on how it appears in the original publication. Follow the same format for newspaper articles, except precede the page numbers with P period or PP period. If an article appears on non-consecutive pages, list all the page numbers separated by a comma. As you can see, there are a lot of details and many variations for these reference entries. There are a lot of rules. It can definitely be confusing, and you're not meant to try to memorize it all. Instead, use a good APA citation source that will give you the format formula and show examples for the type of entry you need. Then you can plug in the information for the specific resource you have. The authority source would be the publication manual of the American Psychological Association, but it can be complex to understand. The APA style blog is helpful in clarifying the many style rules. There are also many websites that have been developed to help explain the rules clearly, giving many examples for you to follow. At the FGC Library, we recommend the Purdue OWL website from Purdue University. Their online writing lab has many helpful explanations and examples. This section on the left shows the many different parts of the APA citation, formatting, and style guide. It covers what we've talked about today and much more. There's also a sample paper that gives tips on writing and formatting your paper and a sample reference page. We also have a brochure on APA citations available in the FGC library. We hope this presentation has been helpful to you. If you have any questions about using APA citations or anything regarding your classwork or Florida Gateway College, please do not hesitate to ask us for help in the library. We're here to help you be successful in your classes. Thanks for watching and good luck.